3 ways to come up with an idea for a disruptive product. We'd all love to have that big idea that makes us rich. Imagine if you were the person who invented Velcro or Post-it notes. With a simple mechanical solution, you could change your life, while also making life easier for millions of people around the world. Not only would your own day-to-day life become much happier and easier, millions of dollars will do that, but you'd get to enjoy the incredible sense of accomplishment that only comes from doing it on your own. But can you force an idea to come? How do you encourage that spark of inspiration? Here are a few experiments you can use to trigger that next big idea. 1. Think about things that frustrate you. In business, this is called a process fix. It involves looking at the routine activities of that organization and then seeing where that routine could be improved upon. The thing is, you can also apply the notion of the process fix to real life. That might mean making it easier to open cans, making toothbrushes last longer, or defrosting the car more efficiently. In other words, ask yourself what you find to be regularly frustrating, and then challenge yourself to come up with a solution in product form. Chances are that if you could benefit from it, so too could other people. 2. Combine 2 useful products. They say there is no such thing as a completely novel idea. That instead, the closest thing is to combine 2 existing ideas into something new. Well, why not embrace that reality by simply combining 2 ideas you like into one new idea? You see tons of inventions that work this way and serve a dual purpose, thereby removing the need to order 2 separate items, and they're often very successful. 3. Go for the next big thing. Many of us dream of products we wish existed, but which we know are impossible to make. Often, a good way to come up with a great idea is to look at those ideas and then try to make them more realistic. How can you take an idea that's impossible and create the next best thing using the realistic resources you have available to you? Often what you'll find is that you can get much closer to fulfilling the original brief than you probably expected. 4 innovative businesses you can learn from. Not every new business idea needs to be truly original. You can actually create a very successful business using only tried and tested formulas, and not even venture out that much into the unknown. In fact, this is sometimes the safer bet when it comes to creating a new business model. The problem is that it takes a truly innovative business idea if you really want to take the world by storm. If you're just happy to make a little money, then sure, something basic and already proven will work fine. But if you're looking to become a billionaire who forever changes the status quo, then you will need to come up with something completely new. Let me share 4 examples of companies that have done that in exciting ways. 1. Facebook. Facebook completely changed the way that we interact with one another, the way we stay in touch with friends, and the way that we make new acquaintances. The idea of a social network is not new, of course, but it was the countless smaller ideas that Zuckerberg and the team implemented that really changed things up and ensured that the site was a massive sensation. 2. Uber. Uber is an example of a company that makes use of the sharing economy. This is a taxi service that is run by its users. Rather than pay obscene amounts for a taxi, why not hire someone local who is happy to give you a lift for much less? It's no exaggeration to say that this is making massive waves in multiple industries. 3. Airbnb. Airbnb is another example of a company that makes use of the sharing economy, this time by letting people share their spare rooms and outbuildings as alternatives to hotel rooms. Once again, this is changing industries, the hotel industry, and even the property market. 4. Nintendo. The House of Mario is a company that is constantly innovating, whether it's with motion controls or new gameplay mechanics. The latest innovation, of course, is the Nintendo Switch, which combines the company's portable and home consoles into a single machine. The appeal is the option to take AAA titles on the go with you, but then be able to play them on the big screen when you get home. It's early days yet, but so far the signs are very positive, and the company has sold more units than any other console at this stage in its life. In other words, you don't have to be a young, hip startup to innovate. 4 ways to make your Kickstarter campaign more successful. These days, coming up with an idea for an invention and then planning on selling it is always going to mean making a trip to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is the preeminent crowdfunding site, which means it's a platform on which you can announce an idea for a product and then see if there is a desire for that product. If so, then viewers can become backers and help fund the project, eventually receiving the resultant product at the end as a thank you. This means you no longer have to find an angel investor and give away shares of your business, and you no longer have to remortgage your house and pin all your hopes on a crazy idea. But going on Kickstarter is not a guarantee of success. In this presentation, we'll take a look at how you can help ensure a positive outcome for your product. 1. Make a great video. The most important aspect of your product page is to make a stunning video. This needs to demonstrate all the best qualities of your product, and it should have high production values, which will help make you appear more professional and capable. Invest in a good camera and editing software, and if you don't have the knack, hire someone who does. 2. Offer exciting incentives. It is normal to incentivize backers by offering rewards for different levels of funding. As you might expect, it's important to ensure that these incentives are exciting enough to actually be worth the money, so make sure that they are, whether that means offering discounted products, bonus packs, or the backer's name somewhere in the credits. 3. Time it well. As with comedy, timing is everything in the world of crowdfunding. Make sure you time the actual launch of the product well, but also think carefully about how long the campaign should run for and when it's going to end. 4. Prep and pickup. A strategy recommended by Tim Ferriss is called prep and pickup. The idea is that you're going to work on all the emails, ads, press releases, and other marketing materials before you launch your product. From there, you will have everything ready to go, and all you need to do is click send at the appropriate times when the product is live. This prevents the scenario where life gets in the way and you can't promote your product as much as you should. 5 examples of businesses that take full advantage of the sharing economy. The sharing economy describes a move away from money and back to the free trade of services and products. Once upon a time, before money existed, we would bargain with other people for goods and services by offering things that we could do or offer in exchange for things that they could do or offer. Need someone to chop down a tree? Then offer to cut their hair, or give them some of your eggs. Then money came along and was used as a way to represent value. This could be traded for goods and services in lieu of providing goods and services back, thereby making transactions much simpler and easier. But at the same time, money also created many of the problems we see today, and you don't need me to tell you what those are. Fortunately, technology is giving us a way to take matters back into our own hands. Technology is perfect for facilitating transactions that don't need money, and hence we are seeing the free trade of goods and services once again. Businesses take full advantage of this and are among the most innovative and successful on the planet right now. In this presentation, we will consider some examples. 1. Uber. Let's start with one of the most high-profile sharing economy businesses out there. Uber is a company that seeks to remove the need for taxis and public transport by letting anyone offer lifts for a small fee. The result is that the costs are much lower, and rides are always available, and it has taken off to the extent that it is actually threatening the taxi industry. 2. Spock. Shpock is an app that acts like a yard sale. Got something you don't want? Take a photo and upload it to Shpock to sell it back within your local area. 3. FreeCycle. FreeCycle takes the idea of Shpock one step further by encouraging its users to give away things that they don't need anymore, but would otherwise have to pay to dispose of. 4. Airbnb. Airbnb is Uber for accommodation, allowing anyone to offer up a room, outbuilding, or attic as a place for people to stay. This is not only changing the face of the hotel industry, but even the property market. 5. Couchsurfer. Couchsurfer is to Airbnb what FreeCycle is to Uber, essentially getting people to offer accommodation for free. By letting people crash on your couch, you win goodwill to crash on the couches of other people, and thereby get a free place to stay wherever you are in the world. 6 ways to get funding for your new product idea. Got an idea for an amazing new physical product that might just change the world and make you a profit in the meantime? This is an incredibly exciting position to find yourself in, especially if you truly believe in the idea you have. That's also why it's so tragic to find yourself unable to make that vision into a reality. If you can't find the funds to manufacture your product, then you can't create it and you can't sell it. It's that simple. In this presentation, I'll show you 6 ways to find funding for your idea so that your good ideas never have to go to waste. 1. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding means that you raise money from the crowd, aka the general public. You put forward your idea, show a working prototype in a video, and explain what it does. You then explain why you need money to make your idea a reality, and you give away some kind of reward in return. 2. Pre-orders. Another option is to take pre-orders for your product. This is another way to get money up front and test that the audience is there. If you don't get enough pre-orders to cover the manufacturing expense, then you simply cancel the pre-orders. 3. PayPal Working Capital. Don't overlook this option from PayPal. PayPal Working Capital is a business loan from the online payment processor that allows you to pay just a single fixed fee, which is usually quite reasonable, and then make repayments out of the money that comes into your PayPal account. While the fees aren't the lowest, it's the ease with which this loan works, the lack of impact on your credit score, and the convenient repayment system that make it a good option for inventors. 4. Credit card loan. A credit card loan isn't the most elegant solution, but it certainly works. Other loans include a bank loan or a loan from the bank of mom and dad. 5. Investors. Finding a loan from an angel investor is arguably the most stressful option for getting funding, but it's also the one that can potentially reap the most rewards, especially if you are also getting the advice and help of those investors to encourage your product to grow at the fastest rate and stand the best chance of succeeding. 6. Bootstrapping. My personal favorite. Bootstrapping means that you sell another product or service in order to raise the money for your bigger and more ambitious venture. Think of this as slowly scaling up your business and your ambition. How to create your own software-as-service business. The notion of software as a service is a very interesting one, and one that is very different from pretty much any business model that has gone before it. The idea is that you are providing a service, whether that's web design or contact management, and that this service is going to be provided automatically by using a piece of software. So instead of building websites for your clients, you are offering a piece of software that can do that for them. The great thing about these businesses is that they can provide services that would be impossible to offer any other way, and they can allow you to take a very backseat approach to running them, generating passive or near-passive income. So how exactly do you create such a business? 1. Come up with the idea. The first thing you need to do is come up with your business. This is easier said than done, of course, but one useful question to ask is whether you can in any way productize a service that you are already providing. This is how Matt Mullenweg came up with the idea for WordPress, by asking how his web design company could be made into a product, and thereby scale to unforeseen heights. Another question is to think about the tools you use on a daily basis, and how they could be better as an SAS. 2. Implement the idea. The next step is to implement the idea. The problem with this is that it will very often involve programming using a web-based programming language. This is code that will run on a server, and common languages include PHP and Python. These are very complex for beginners, which is why the best option is often to outsource the actual creation of the product to someone who knows what they're doing. Use Upwork or something similar to find the staff. Alternatively, you can try using a social network building solution, several of which do exist. 3. Market the idea. Finally, you just need to market your idea. A good place to start is with your existing client list, if you have one, and from there, you can try building an email list as you would for any service. Often, SAS means B2B, but not always. Otherwise, you can try using advertising and more traditional means of internet marketing. Invest the profits you make into more advertising to scale up your business, and then watch as it grows. How to find a need in a market and fill it. One of the best ways to come up with a successful business model, whether it's for a product or a service, is to find a simple need in a market and then fill it. In other words, what do people want that they don't have, and how can you satiate that need for them? If you can do this, then you'll be able to clearly communicate the value you offer and theoretically see a lot of sales as a result. In this presentation, we'll look at some ways you can identify those needs and fulfill them. 1. Look at existing products. One way to find a gap in the market is to look at the existing products in that space. What you'll likely find is that a few companies have got the niche stitched up, but that there is still room for improvement and still room for new products. Ask yourself, who are these products not catering to? What don't these products do that could be useful? 2. Look for pain points. They say that a good writer should always write what they know. Likewise, a good business strategy is to always stick with industries and niches that you understand. In other words, when you choose what you want to make or offer, it is best to choose something that you understand, rather than something that you've never used or experienced yourself. This way, you can think back to your own personal experience of that thing and ask yourself what could have been done better. Or if there is a product or service you use every day and it fails, ask yourself how that product could have been made any better. Is that something you can fix? 3. Survey the market. Another simple way to find things that aren't out there is to survey the intended market. In other words, ask the people you're selling to what they would like to see more of and where they feel their needs aren't being met. 4. Consider smaller cross-sections. Speaking of the market, have a think about who the market includes and whether there is a group within that market which has distinct needs not felt by the rest. Maybe people who work night shifts could benefit from a twist on an existing product, or people with a certain disability. All these strategies can be fantastic ways to find new business opportunities. But remember that what made Steve Jobs so innovative and successful was his ability to anticipate what the market needed before the market knew itself. How to market your new disruptive idea. Got a new idea for a product or service that is going to be truly disruptive and change the way we see the world? Great. Only you're not the first, and you probably won't be the last either. The thing is, ideas are a dime a dozen, and actually the hard part is marketing those ideas and getting them to sell. That's where the marketing part comes in, and that's the difficult part. Unfortunately, it's even harder in many cases when your idea is exciting and new. Why? Because there is less point of reference and less context that you can use to explain your idea. So how do you get the word out about your new concept? Let's look at some options. In the beginning, the main aim of your marketing is often going to be explaining what your product is. This is your elevator pitch, and it's important that you've come up with a simple way to explain succinctly and clearly what your idea is, who needs it, and what they need it for. Another useful concept is to focus on the value proposition. In other words, where does the value come from with your new service or product? How does using this product make life better? Will your users be richer? Will they have more fun? Or will it improve their health? While the how and the what might be new, very often the why will be universal, and this will be key in communicating your message. In order to do any of this, though, you're going to need to think about whom your product is marketed to, and who will want to use it. This will tell you where to present your message, and how to present it. Have a think about the typical demographic that is likely to use your product, and think of comparable products and whom they are targeted at. Looking at comparable products is also a good way to get inspiration for your marketing. Finally, don't be afraid to embrace the newness of your product or service. In other words, if your product is so different that it stands out, then this can actually help it spread by word of mouth. Consider those 5-finger shoes by Vibram. These drew the eye so much that they practically marketed themselves. How can you get people talking about your brand? How to test an idea before bringing it to market. One of the worst things you can possibly do as an entrepreneur or any business person is to invest a huge amount of time and money into an idea that doesn't have an audience. If you spend thousands of dollars or countless hours developing a product that no one buys, then of course it is going to be money down the drain. And of course that may sound obvious, but it is an unfortunate reality that happens far more frequently than you might think. The problem is that we will often assume that because we want a certain product, that there must be market demand for it too. Or because something has been successful in the past, it will likely be successful in the future. This is not the case, however, and if you want to ensure your product will be successful, then there are some different precautions you need to take. In this presentation, we'll learn what those are. 1. Validation. In business terms, we call what we just described validation. The aim is to validate an idea for a product or business, and then test if it really has appeal. One way of doing this is to try selling the product or service before it's finished. You can do this by offering a beta test of sorts, by taking pre-orders, or even by having a sales page that informs the buyer you're out of stock only once they try to make a purchase. This is important because very often people will say they're interested in an idea, but they're not necessarily willing to pay for it. To test if your idea truly has legs, you really need your audience to put their money where their mouth is. Then you can calculate how much money you would have made and whether or not that would have been enough to make the work worthwhile. 2. Fail fast. A similar approach is to invest as little time and money into an idea as possible, but still release the product or service. This way, you can then start selling it as quickly as possible and testing to see if there's an audience there. If the product sells as is, called an MVP or minimally viable product, then you can invest more time in developing it and marketing it. If not, you move quickly on to the next project. Hence, fail fast. Top mistakes that new entrepreneurs make. Got a big new idea? Great. In all likelihood, you're probably extremely excited to bring it to market, whether it's some kind of service or some kind of physical product. Either way, though, you are now at a crossroads. People have amazing ideas all the time, but it is rare that they actually do anything useful with those ideas. All too often, those ideas don't come to anything because the person with the said idea never takes a chance on it, or because they go about it in the wrong way. Here are some of the most common mistakes that have robbed the world of truly incredible ideas, and what you can do to prevent the same fate happening to your own innovations. 1. Not validating the idea. Validation essentially means testing that there is an audience for a product or service. Having a great idea is one thing, but having a great idea that will sell is another. And if you want to make this a business, then you need to be able to sell it. To find out, you need to do some kind of trial run. This could mean selling a beta version, taking pre-orders, or running a Kickstarter. Anything as long as you are actively testing to see if the demand is there. 2. Not getting help. Too many inventors and innovators want to do everything themselves. Want to make a website? Then perhaps you think you have to create the logo yourself and learn HTML and Python. No. The way real professionals do it is to always outsource the most difficult parts of the process. This will save you time, and it will also result in a more professional final product, because it will be built by people who do this stuff for a living. 3. Not telling anyone the idea. Why don't entrepreneurs get help? Often it's because they don't want to tell people their ideas. Well, that makes it very hard indeed to get funding or even advice. If you're serious about your idea, then you need to start talking about it as soon as possible. Don't worry about people stealing your ideas. Either they have their own ideas, or they don't have the means to do anything about your idea. The best way to protect an idea is to do it first and to do it best. In other words, stop making excuses and just do it.